Just a few days ago, he's arrested for robbery. Catch, release, repeat. Catch, release, repeat. This person was arrested for robbery a few days ago. Now he's back. How do we keep our city safe when the other parts of the criminal justice system, they have abandoned our public safety apparatus?
The other part he is referring to is the New York prosecutor. Both Adams and the New York prosecutor are Democrats. As you can tell, they are at war with each other. It's happening all over the country. Obviously, you can't stop crime unless you lock up the people committing crimes, but arresting them is only half the problem. Crime in New York up 37%, 35% in Chicago, 26% in Philadelphia, 8% in Baltimore, already one of the world's most dangerous cities. The common thread between all of those cities is a prosecutor, a Democrat, who largely refuses to prosecute, hence Mayor Adams' frustration in New York. Democrats know this is a huge problem for them in November, and today, President Trump returned to Washington for the very first time since 2021. Most of his speech centered around law and order in America.
Under the Democrat rule, in Democrat-run cities, Democrat-run states, and a Democrat-run federal government, the criminals have been given free rein more than ever before. Our country is now a cesspool of crime. We have blood, death, and suffering on a scale once unthinkable because of the Democrat Party's effort to destroy and dismantle law enforcement all throughout America. It has to stop, and it has to stop now.
You can argue who is to blame for it, the causes and the correlations. But 92% of America feel that crime is an important issue ahead of the midterms. 63% say it is extremely important. Democrats are worried. President Biden knows it's a problem for Democrats come the midterms as well. Hence his Safer America plan, $37 billion of funding to officer training, violence intervention, funding for the ATF, a congressional ban on assault weapons, background checks for firearms. Obviously, a ban on assault weapons is probably a non-starter, but that allows him to say the Republicans in Congress stopped something he was for. It now pits President Biden and moderate Democrats against the progressive prosecutors and the big donor, George Soros, who funds most of the prosecutors' campaigns. As we said, a war on crime and a civil war in the Democratic Party. That's On Point tonight. Mike Allen's here, founder of Axios, formerly of the Washington Post, the New York Times, and Politico, making him Washington's best-sourced reporter. It is good to see you. All right, crime train has left the station. You can't blame Democrats for wanting to catch up to it. How worried internally are that they won't be able to?
Very worried, Leland. Both sides know that this is going to be a big issue. Of course, economy, inflation, jobs, absolutely at the top, blots out the sun. But coming next in polling is this bucket of crime, border, law and order. And the exact polling you're pointing to is the reason President Trump wanted to really focus on that today. Leland, I'm told behind the scenes there was conversation. Do you have a big sort of broad agenda-setting speech? Do you maybe talk about trade and the economy? No, President Trump personally wanted to talk about law and order today. You saw that tough rhetoric there in the video, very different from a president who signed a top criminal justice reform bill. Today he's back talking about executing drug dealers. But Leland, the Trump team tells me they think that this is his most focused media in a year.
And it is on this one issue. President Biden seems to think he can flip the script in a way. You watch the soundbite, you're not even really sure he believes it when he says that President Trump can't be pro-police if he was involved in January 6th. Take a listen.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them.
Different soundbite there, but we'll pick up the thread. How worried are Democrats that the more progressive among them will not go along with fund the police?
Yeah, Leland, the big thing that worries Democrats is that the crime issue will be seen as a general sign of the trajectory the country's on. So this record polling of people saying the country is on the wrong track. And so that's how you unify the crime and the economy and jobs. And that is, it's all a sign of where we're going. And if you're in charge and people don't like the direction, you've got a big problem. And that's Democrats at both sides of the Capitol and at both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue. Leland, today, I talked to officials in both parties. And what Republicans say is that they see this as a wedge issue that will help them pull away some Democrats. So maybe some working class Democrats, some Hispanic Democrats who have been taken advantage of or taken for granted by the main party, and maybe some Democrats who had buyer's remorse about President Biden. So that's the opportunity for Republicans. What Democrats tell me is they can go on the offensive by talking about gun safety. A lot of parents are going to be concerned about that. A lot of your independent swing voters can be very concerned about that, and talk about public safety funding, two issues where they can try and take some of the edge, steal a march on Republicans on this issue.
And they're still going to have to answer for this back during the 2020 campaign, defund the police from across the spectrum. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.